Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm gonna be testing the RX 570 in Red Dead Redemption 2 using the Xbox One X graphics. Yes guys, this is a retest by the way, because in my previous video I forgot to disable the 3 tessellation. I actually didn't think it would make any difference by having it enabled or disabled over here, and yeah, I left it enabled and found out later that it had a 10% impact to the FPS. Well, we're running a Ryzen 7 3700X and 16 gigs of RAM, of course overkill specs for the RX 570. You guys will get the same FPS basically with the Ryzen 5 1400 and 8 gigs of RAM, as long as that's in dual channel. And yeah, as you can see here, I put plus 50% here on the power limit because it's the only way to make my RX 570 stable, because it was artifacting like a week or two ago. It's fine now for the most part. I've been playing with it for a little bit and it's running well, and we're gonna be playing it at 1080p 1440p and 4K, just like we did in the previous one. But yeah, 10% is actually a big margin, so I'm just gonna retest this video, and I'm sorry about that guys. But moving on, 1080p 1440p and 4K is what we're gonna be testing here today. And of course these are the Xbox One X settings, so I'm just gonna go through all of them here real quickly. As you can see, okay, we know that these are the settings because of Digital Foundries. By the way, Digital Foundry is a channel in YouTube. You guys should go check that out because they actually do awesome work here. And as you can see, we're actually getting a lot more FPS than we were getting previously. In the previous video we were getting like what, drops to like the low 40s in areas like these, and now we're in the 50s, almost touching the 60s, so that's quite a big difference over here. That's why I'm retesting this video and this graphics card with the Xbox One X settings. As you can see now, the RX 570 can actually play this game pretty fine here with these FPS, and I'm just gonna go ahead and enable 3 tessellation for you guys just to see how much of a difference that does here in real time. So as you can see here, it's the last option. Rockstar actually introduced it in an update and it was on by default, I think. And yeah, as you can see here, we dropped instantly to the 40s with 3 tessellation on, and we also drop into the high 30s here sometimes inside of big forests. So yeah guys, I'm sorry about that. We're also using a capture card to capture our gameplay over here so we don't lose any FPS. And well guys, now that tessellation is actually disabled, the 3 tessellation, let's start our average and 1% low counting, and let's see how the RX 570 performs here at 1080p. So far so good guys. We're actually seeing up to 60 FPS sometimes, so that's very impressive coming out of the RX 570. Of course it's a $120 card or $130 card, so you guys that have watched the previous video where I was getting like 40 FPS average with the 570 using these settings, the Xbox One X settings, yeah, you guys can be happier now because it actually performs a lot better without that little option enabled. So yeah, I also enabled 4 times an anisotropic filtering in this one. Yeah, it doesn't really make a huge difference, but that was a little bit off as well. I didn't pay too much attention to that, so I'm sorry about that again. And well guys, you can see our average FPS is almost touching 60 FPS. Sometimes we're actually below 60, sometimes we're actually touching 60. Our 1% lows are pretty high as well, so 37 FPS for 1% lows, probably due to our micro stuttering issue, which Rockstar didn't fix yet, you know, but it's not really noticeable. You can play the game just fine using these settings. As you can see, the frame time graph is a little bit messed up. That's the micro stuttering issue, but it's not really noticeable. At least I can't really tell that the game is micro stuttering. So yeah, don't worry about that, I guess. Should we just get out of here? I don't know where I'm at actually. So oh my god, we're very far away from our usual spot of benchmark. Let's go there. Oh my god, what the heck? Okay, let's go Arthur, we're fine. All right. By the way guys, the game looks alright here at 1080p, and yeah, these are actually pretty decent settings for like performance and visual fidelity. So if you guys want to play like this, it's definitely a very good experience and a smooth experience. It's kind of like getting pretty much the same FPS as medium settings as I tested in the other video, because I've made a separate video as well testing low, medium, high and ultra settings in this game with the RX 570 of course. And I think we were getting like around these frame rates at 1080p medium settings. I'm not really sure if we got actually like 60 plus. I think we got 60 plus FPS all of the time at medium settings, or pretty much all of the time with a couple of drops here and there. So these are a little bit more demanding than default medium settings, but the game still looks awesome, of course. It runs pretty well still, so I say that this is a win for the RX 570. If you guys have an RX 570 that's factory overclocked, even better, you know, because this one is actually running at stock speeds. And if you do have like one of those 1400 megahertz RX 570s, or if you manually overclock yours, well, you can definitely reach 60 FPS average. As you can see, we're getting 58 FPS average, 34 1% lows, very smooth experience. And yeah, I'm glad to see this coming from this little GPU. Now let's do 1440p, because that's the next step up from here. Alright, as you can see guys, we're now at 1440p, 2560 by 1440. Everything here in the settings menu is still the same. We didn't touch anything, so yeah, these are the Xbox One X settings here. And yeah, now we're into the 40s and we're pretty much getting what we got in the previous video at 1080p because of that little goddamn setting that was enabled, 3 tessellation. Jesus Christ, I just wish I had tested that setting earlier, because I am gonna have to retest not only this one but also the GTX 1050 Ti video that I had already made before uploading the previous one. But yeah, that's fine, you know. Alright, I'm just gonna rest my horse a little bit because she's too tired and screaming a lot. So just chill, okay? Alright, that's probably enough. That will boost probably a little bit of our averages here because we're not in the woods, you know. But yeah, you're not gonna be in the woods all the time, so that shouldn't matter as well. By the way, guys, I saw that, for example, in Valentine, and that's the... Okay, wait a second. Alright. Yeah, I saw that in Valentine. That's a little city that you come across in the game here. I saw less FPS in that one than, for example, in foresty areas. That's why I test here and not in the city like Valentine, you know. And yeah, you guys can check, for example, my GTX 1080 video. I tested it in Valentine and in the woods as well with all the graphics settings, and we saw like a little bit less FPS in the woods than in the city itself. So the woods and the foliage and stuff like that are definitely really demanding here in this game. And by the way, guys, we are running it at 1440p and it's amazing. We're getting 40 FPS average. Wow, this is insanely good, guys. Okay, I was really not expecting that a single tessellation setting would make that much of a difference, but it truly did. And as you can see, the game is completely playable now at 1440p, so that's really amazing, and it still looks awesome, of course. Yeah, if you want to play with Xbox One X graphics, and if you have a 1440p monitor with an RX 570, you're in for a treat, guys. This is amazing. This is an amazing experience, okay? Let's go ahead now and test the last resolution here in today's video, which is 3840 by 2160. That's 4K. You do need to lower your texture resolution to medium if you want to play at 4K with a 4GB RX 570. So let's do that. And we need to, of course, restart the game as well, so I'm just gonna do that real quick. Alright guys, we're back here at 4K now. As you can see, 3840 by 2160. Everything else is still the same except for the texture quality, of course. We couldn't really apply ultra texture quality settings here at 4K with a 4GB card. And as you can see, just going through the settings, everything's still the same. I didn't change anything else. And let's see how many FPS we get here at 4K resolution. Okay, so we're in the mid-20s. Alright, that's not not too bad actually, guys. Okay, it's still not enough to reach 60 FPS, so the Xbox One X actually runs at 84K from what I've seen in the comments of the previous video. So yeah, you know, this isn't too bad. This is actually quite a similar experience to what we were getting with the 3 tessellation enabled in the previous video. I think we're still getting a few more FPS than that actually, but of course the experience is still the same. It's not really playable, you know. I think we were dropping to these FPS as well at like 1440p inside of tree areas, inside of forests, and as you can see now we're actually in the low 20s sometimes around here. This isn't too bad, you know, but I wouldn't really play like this. Obviously you shouldn't play at 20 something FPS when you have the option to play at like 50 FPS at 1080p, for example. So I will definitely recommend you to play at 1080p, because most of you probably have... Oh my god, okay, oh my Jesus Christ, just run girl, just run. Oh my Joe, don't do that, just okay, jump. All right, now, okay, let's go. Where's the bear? Oh my god, guys, that actually scared me. All right. But, you know, the game's still playable at 4K. If you lower a few settings here and there, you should be able to reach 30 FPS, not 60. But most of you guys should have like 1080p monitors with an RX 570. That's like the most common thing to pair with this GPU, monitor-wise, of course. And maybe some of you have like 1440p monitors. If you play like esports titles, the RX 570 is actually absolutely fine to play those games at 1440p. For example, have played with the RX 570 at 1440p in a few titles, and it was perfectly fine and perfectly playable. Just 4K, just avoid 4K with this card is what I'm trying to say here. 1440p is fine, obviously we were in the 40s. 4K is just a bit too much, and you shouldn't really play with this resolution. It's too high of a resolution for the little RX 570 here. Still did a fantastic job, don't get me wrong here. 25 FPS, around 25 FPS average at this resolution is no thing to laugh at, you know. It's 4 times the resolution of 1080p. So yeah, still impressed with its performance here. It still is running the game. Of course, it's awesome if you want, for example, to take some screenshots of landscapes and stuff like that. Not so awesome to take screenshots of stuff that's close to you, because if you look at those medium settings, textures, it doesn't look too good. But the landscapes here, for example, look fantastic, as you can see here. Okay, so hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, I'm sorry for the last one, it wasn't really accurate. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. I love you all. Bye bye.